It's been a year now since the water flowed down our valley, leaving death and destruction in its path. Since then, almost nothing is as it used to be. I myself was in the middle of that disaster. If I had made some decisions differently that night, I wouldn't be talking to you right now. A lot of people haven't been so lucky. Too many of them. I myself know a few who lost their grandparents or children. I was standing in the middle of the city when all the electricity was cut off and it suddenly went dark around me. There were no more lights on and it became dead silent. I ran to the river where the firefighter had been before, but they were gone. I knew something was wrong. I wanted to get my father from his apartment, which wasn't even 50 meters away from the Ahr. I felt the time was running away. The water came so fast that I did not even manage to get my father, because in less than 5 minutes in front of the house was a torrent. The current was so strong that it was immediately clear that if I fell here, that was it for me. The water wouldn't stop rising. It came higher and higher. In the end, there were almost 4-meter high masses of water below us, taking everything with them: cars, walls, animals and people. Fortunately, the house where my father lived was high enough. Others escaped death only by climbing on their roofs. Some were not even saved by that. When the water receded, the full extent of the destruction became apparent, and the great cleanup began. People came from everywhere and helped, sometimes until they passed out. During this time, it became apparent what huge hearts they have. But clearing away the mud and the destroyed things is not enough. People here have lost so much, from all their belongings to their houses, to their loved ones. There is damage that you can't see right away. Only time can heal that, and sometimes not even that. I, on the other hand, show you in this video the damage that can be seen, and that we must not close our eyes to, because there are people who live in them. In the next 3 days I will walk along the Ahr, from its source to its mouth in the Rhine. You will accompany me on this journey and see not only how I feel, but also how the Ahr Valley looks 1 year after the catastrophe. Incredible pictures and stories full of horror and beauty await you. What really awaited me on this trip, I had not expected. To make matters worse, I had tight deadlines to meet. What the pressure in this important project only increased. I had to reach a certain stage every day. If I didn't, the whole project threatened to fail. So the entire thing also became a race against time.
Hi.
Hey, can you please get me? Totally wasted and I can't move anymore. The first signs of what happened. Let me promise, it'll be worse. Holy smokes. Can you see the dent? So tiny and lovely. So quiet. This stone was placed in honor to the people who died at this campground. The first name is Katharina, a young firefighter who just turned 19 years old. She was on the duty with her unit at this campsite, evacuating people. In the process, they came across an old woman who could no longer leave her bed. Katharina decided to stay with the woman, so that the old woman does not have to stay alone. Both women were swept away with the caravan and drowned in the floods. Katharina's father, also a firefighter, tried desperately to do something, but he had no chance. With a brittle voice, the seasoned man reports this cruel stroke of fate. It is stories like this that accompany me on my way. Stories full of sadness and despair. Stories that show what the people here have gone through, but they also show how unprepared the people here were by this tragedy. Katharina was already swept to her death at 6 p.m. Some towns and villages further downstream were not hit by the floods until 6 hours later. But the crisis team remained inactive, although they had been warned about such floods. So I just met a few people from here, and everyone of this village here I met was pretty friendly and nice. They greeted me and smiled. Amazing. So I have to check my feet now and change my socks. Yeah, the road was blocked and I had to go back, and now I have to find another way. Oh man, from now on I can say let the fun begin. So guys, let me be honest, the pain is pretty intense. My knee's hurting really bad, but I'm a little late for my goal today, so I'm trying to run a bit. I'm close to Schuld. Maybe I'll be there before the sun goes down. Would be amazing. See you then. Okay, I'm close to marathon now. The streets, those streets, they are killing me. We made it. We freaking made it. I had to run for the last almost a whole 10 kilometers. Oh, but we made it. And that's it. That's everything I wanted for today. And I'll call it here. Yeah, we will be back at show tomorrow. Now it's too dark and to be honest, I'm done. I'm not able to film anything now, and yeah, it's too dark, it makes no sense. And yeah, after I sat for a while, I made some noises. Get up. One of the neighbors here came around and checked if I'm doing fine or not. He offered me a place to sleep. And that's why I'm doing this here. We will start where we ended yesterday, and yeah, you will see things will change drastically from now on, and I'll take you with me. Schuld was hit hard during the night. 10% of the inhabitants of this community of 660 souls are considered missing on the first day. The access roads were destroyed and Schuld was cut off from the outside world. As I walked through the village, I witnessed a conversation. A couple is talking to an engineer about how best to tear down their damaged house. Yep. I was looking for a way out, but there is none. Only streets for cars. It looks so amazing. And that's the tunnel. Hopefully I won't get hit by a car or a truck. Okay, it's not that bad. Ooh. So that's the reason. Over there was no other way out for me. If you can see those scratchings there, there's still a road, but yeah, you can't use it anymore, it's not safe. Hello. really cool. Had a nice conversation with the two shepherds. they, they got a little frustrated about their sheep at first, but then we talked about the flood and everything. And yeah, one of those neighbors here, he rescued their sheep. They called the shepherd and said the whole place is floating, and during the call they got interrupted because the phone line got destroyed. And then the neighbor here ran out while he lost his own house and cut off the fence and rescued the sheep. Over here there have been houses before. The whole place was flooded. The houses are all gone. Bridge is gone. There's a new one now. Yeah, but the shepherd also told me that not only people lost their houses here, a few families drowned and they died here. Yeah. That's the other side. I had to cross the bridge on my way to work and home, so that day. Because of these photos a colleague got sent that day, I drove earlier. A little later, the house from which these photos were shot were destroyed by the water masses. Today, here are only empty fields, where one was houses. This train was flooded, but also the trails got damaged. So this train is stuck on a small piece of trails. It's broken, but they can't move it away. They brought it here to deconstruct it and yeah, bring the train away part by part. I've walked over former tracks several times without even noticing it, sometimes for hundreds of meters. Almost all the buildings we pass are empty, at least on the lower floors. Some may, from the outside, not be so badly damaged at first glance, but inside they are in a shell condition. There is nothing left, even the electrical wiring had to be removed. We're almost there. Almost, but not yet. Okay, as you can tell, it's already dark and we are in Maischoss now. I'm sitting at the bus station and I just arrived. Hopefully in 10 minutes the bus will arrive too. At least it's scheduled at 10:40. Don't know what to say. What an amazing day. What an amazing journey. It's so tremendously painful. But I'm so thankful to be able to do this. Tomorrow we will start here again, like in Schuld today, and then we will walk the rest, hopefully. So, hello guys, and welcome back to my shows. Another day, the same thing. Should be the last day today, and we're done. In the time from the 14th to the 15th of July, 100 liters of rain per square meter fell within just 24 hours. The historic bridges along the Ahr River continued to catch flotsam and accumulate water in this way until they collapsed. With each bridge, a small dam burst, causing immense masses of water to make their way towards the end of the Ahr. These masses reached high velocities due to the canalization of the riverbed. Since the Gorge was already destroyed at the level of 5 meters at 9 p.m. We don't know the exact level, however it's estimated at 7 to 8 meters. In some parts even higher due to the dam formation. A total of 42,000 people were affected by this flood disaster. 17,000 people have lost their belongings or faced significant damage. A minimum of 467 buildings got destroyed immediately. 192 of them were residential buildings. Later, many more will be torn down. In total, 3,000 buildings along the Ahr River were damaged, which is 70% of the buildings here. An area of 200 soccer fields was flooded. More than 60 bridges fell victim to the water. In total, according to the official numbers, 134 people lost their lives. 69 of them died in the town where I live. Later, many people committed suicide. In this settlement, not far away from my friend's house, a dead 2-year-old child was found. It was hanging lifeless in a tree. Helpers had to climb up to retrieve it. At this place, my best friend's husband saved a man from drowning. Previously, there was a bridge. When water receded, a lifeless body suddenly appeared. He had been caught on the remains of the bridge and was involved by the water up to that point. The man tried to retrieve the body and almost came to death himself. My friend ended up pulling both of them out of the river. The dead body had been in the water for days and was in the appropriate condition. A few streets away from here, in this night, the 22-year-old Johanna lost her life. She was a young woman full of dreams, who had already achieved a lot in her short life. She had already passed her master's examination and wanted to open her own patisserie. Her store should be named after her grandmother, who herself was a passionate baker and Johanna's role model. But it was never to come to that. She, like so many others, was surprised by the water in the middle of the night. The water came so fast, in such great quantities, that when she woke up, she was already trapped in her apartment. The force of the water prevented her from opening the doors. Yet, Johanna lived 150 meters away from the Ahr River. Shortly before she died, she was still on the phone with her parents. She was panicking. "Dad, I'm standing here in the water and it's dark and I can't get the door open. I can't get the door open and it's dark." This was to be the last time the parents heard their daughter's voice. 2 days later, Johanna was found dead in the underground parking garage of her apartment building. It is assumed that she climbed out of her window and the torrential current washed her into the underground car park. Awesome little break. Maybe someone should tell this my body. Okay, I've just looked how far to go. 10 kilometers left. What can I say? We're getting there. Somehow. An old colleague of mine lived in this housing estate. She lived here with her parents. The family lost all their belongings that night, and the house has been in ruins ever since. The friend of an acquaintance of mine lived here. She was alone with her newborn that night. When the water came, she climbed higher and higher in the house to save herself and her newborn child from drowning. She had already reached the highest point in the house, and the water would not stop rising. She expected the worst, but she was lucky. Just before the water reached her, the level went down. A luck that I would have wished family Anne as well. It must have been about 1 o'clock in the morning when Father John, Mother Elvira and son Frank left their house to save themselves on the mountain. However, they will never get there. The water sweeps away everything, including the family. Days later, their lifeless bodies were recovered. Some of them have been swept away for kilometers. Only brother Harry N., who was not in the house that evening, is left behind. He mourns for his parents and his brother. He's unable to come to terms, as his brother has not been found to this day and is still missing. This journey was an up and down for me, physically and mentally, all the time. And at this point, I hit my low. I had to take breaks every few hundred meters, but 7 kilometers away from my goal, all of a sudden, I started running again, and then this happened. What can I say? Fuck that pain! Fuck it! Man! 3 more to go, and I reached my goal. Woo! We fucking made it. Goddamn made it. Here's the Rhine. We made it. Woo! What the heck was this? The creation of this video has made me see this disaster with different eyes. In particular, the tragic death of the 2 young women has moved me very much. To write down these stories, to put myself in the fears of death, and then how to see the parents have to suffer from the heavy loss of the children. All this touched me deeply, and for the first time I had tears in my eyes because of this terrible event. I also visited Johanna's grave to leave a few words there. She died just a few meters from her home and was buried in my town. The people in this valley are so infinitively grateful for all the help they have received. There are still banners with the words "thank you" hanging on their houses everywhere. And they themselves are amazingly helpful and just great people. On my way, so many people talked to me, offered me help or even food. But they are afraid of being forgotten. And this fear is unfortunately justified. The big promises of our government have not been kept, and the people now have to deal with bureaucracy and courts. The state does not pay out hundreds of millions of private donations or uses them for its own questionable projects. I want to make the daily lives of these people here easier, who are rebuilding their homes in addition to their full-time jobs. But I can't do it alone. I need your help for that. If you want to help these people here too, please go to the video description and use the donation link there. I will take care of the rest and make sure that the money reaches a family that really needs it. The Ahrtal and I thank you from the bottom of our hearts.